Petr Yan is an amazing example of what the perfect MMA fighter looks like, with a diverse striking skill set, being able to fight out of both stances with both punches and kicks, having an exceptional head movement and being widely considered one of the best boxers in the UFC, and also being proficient in the grappling, having stellar takedown defense and offense of his own. Petr Yan makes a very good case for being the most skilled fighter in the UFC. So, let's break down the MMA mastery of Petr Yan. Let's look at his striking first. Petr Yan's striking consists of exceptional guard and blocking, elite level boxing, consistent stance switches, pressure, surprisingly underrated kicks, and a wide variety of dynamic attacks. Guard and defense. Petr Yan will live and die by his high guard, often crunching and tucking his shoulders and his elbows in and tucking his chin low to withstand any blows coming his way. He has a very dynamic high guard, changing it, lowering the guard, putting his hands up higher, tucking his chin, moving his arms to just correctly block any strikes that are coming his way. This helps with his pressure and his counters. We see Petr using the high guard to catch shots, usually body shots, and deliver devastating counters, like against Jose Aldo and Corey Sandhagen. Against people who like to kick a lot more, let's say Douglas Silva de Andrade or Aljamain Sterling, he will often catch the kicks and just trip them out, punishing sloppy attacks, right? Yan, if he doesn't want to commit to going to the ground, he has excellent, and I mean absolute excellent, blocking, checking, and parrying. He'll often raise either one of his legs to check, having a really consistent and solid just checking game. He'll also use a variety of just parries, scoops, and cross blocks to just, again, ensure that he doesn't take any shots clean. And when he wants to stay out of range completely, he'll often slide or lean ever so slightly out of the way so the strikes just completely go past. Or, if he wants to keep the distance a little more, he'll often use like knee stomps and oblique kicks a lot against Aldo and O'Malley, as they're much longer, very skilled strikers who want to put the pressure on. Right? Or, if his opponent's reacting a lot and kind of difficult to hit, Yan will reach out with his hands and he'll very often use a long guard, either keeping his rear hand tucked and his lead hand just constantly pouring out, or he'll just go out with both hands just to measure. Boxing. Petr Yan's best skill. Yan is very proficient in boxing with his high guard and his defense, but also his punching and his punch mechanics. He has very good straights from both stances, and he's just very good at setting up shots. Here we see him jab, and his Figueiredo's going for a takedown, then it's a clean uppercut that sits Figueiredo down. Or when Figueiredo's against the fence and he's in orthodox, he switches back into southpaw and as Figueiredo starts walking with his hands down, nails him with a left straight. Or when Figueiredo tries to enter into the clinch, and because he's a bit more tired and he's a bit more open, Yan nails him on the exit with a left hook, which hurts Figueiredo, and he begins to start nailing with left straights, left uppercuts, right uppercuts, and hooks around the guard, as Figueiredo is now trying to reach out. Against Corey Sandhagen, you'd see him in southpaw jab, and then as Sandhagen also jabs to match Yan, brings his hand up, digs a left to the body. Or you'd see Yan jab to the body, bait out a down block from Sandhagen, and then he'd just nail him with the left cross as his guard was open. Or when Sandhagen will dig to the body with a left hook, he does this a lot, or just punish it with a left hook over the top. Right, he does this a lot against Aldo as well. Or he'd move under Sandhagen's shots, just looking, seeing the punches as there's not a huge amount of steam on them, and then drive through with like a left uppercut as Sandhagen's trying to exit. or he'd double up on the left hand to try and track Sandhagen because he's pretty elusive, and then nail him with the right hand as he's trying to move his head. Against Jose Aldo, Yan had to switch southpaw because of the jab and because of the leg kicks of Aldo, and his 1-2, his jab cross from southpaw was absolute money, just always taking an outside step, either jabbing under or over Aldo's left hand and just hitting the mark every single time, like just an absolute laser beam. Then, eventually as Aldo starts committing to the body, as he likes to do, Yan would catch it on his guard and just counter extremely hard. And as Aldo starts to tire out, Yan starts to increase the pressure and extend out longer combinations, following through and just making Aldo wilt. And as Aldo starts trying to clinch, as he's getting more tired, Yan would often bring the hands away and then drill an uppercut to the body. Now, against Song Yudong, which is a fight that he had to make a lot of adaptations to because he lost the first round pretty badly, he starts realizing that strikes up the middle, like long uppercuts or even just short uppercuts as Yudong's ducking, was the way to go, and that did really help him win the fight. Against Aljamain Sterling, because Sterling was putting so much pressure on him, Yan realized he needed to attack the body, going hook to the body, then left straight, or just digging long hooks to the body, jab, and then right hook to the body, similar to what he did against Sandhagen. Eventually, he starts jabbing, and as Aljamain is overcommitting on the feint, or overcommitting on the parry because he gives a lot of big reactions, Yan's able to nail him with a right cross and actually floor him. And after establishing an effective jab, Yan starts being able to bait out that large reaction from Aljamain and just landing crosses at will from, orthodox and from southpaw, even, landing just stiff, hard jabs as Aljamain is slowly gassing and wilting and giving bigger reactions and responding less to attacks coming his way. Against Sean O'Malley, Petr Yan was having his best success countering O'Malley when O'Malley would strike and stay in range. We see O'Malley go for a hook, Yan duck under, and counter. And then in the third round, after hurting Yan with the knee, goes 1-2, Yan counters with two big hooks, stunning O'Malley. And after being rocked by O'Malley in the second round, Yan puts out a long guard to bring the hands away from O'Malley's face, pumps out a 1-2 from southpaw, and rocks O'Malley really, really, really badly. Now, against Uriah Faber, he uses the step-through combination, just jab, cross, step-through, cross again, to put Faber to the mat pretty cleanly. Stance switching. Petr Yan is very efficient out of both stances, going between southpaw and orthodox. In orthodox, he'll often use the jab, the low kick, the right straight, the left hook, and some knee stomps, while in southpaw, he'll often use the left straight and the left kick, and as of lately, he's been using a lot of step-in right kicks, but he'll often adapt to what the fight needs, like against Jose Aldo, who goes southpaw because of the low kicks, and against Sandhagen, he'll go southpaw because he seems a lot more comfortable spinning out of that way, because he's a lot taller, he can drill the left body kick, similar to how he can against O'Malley as well, but Yan is very good at switching stances mid-fight, mid-combination to get specific attacks, and also just adapting regularly. Pressure. Yan uses all of his striking skills to put insane amounts of pressure on his opponent. I've always thought that fighting Petr Yan is like fighting inside of a pressure cooker, right? He'll use his body kicks, his knee stomps, his long guard, his high guard, and his counters to slowly walk his opponent down and break them. And, like against Aldo, attacking the body, countering body shots, until eventually you do enough damage to wilt and break your opponent. Right? And that's the main thing with fighting Petr Yan. He is a slow start and he grows into the fight, until eventually by, the third, fourth, and fifth round, you simply cannot hang with him. Kicks. I'd say the most underrated part of Petr Yan's game. He has incredibly good kicks, mainly his body kick. From southpaw, he'll often throw a slapping left hook to get the opponent's hand up, and then slam and left body kicks. This has worked against almost every one of Yan's opponents. We're talking Douglas Silva de Andrade, we're talking Aljamain Sterling, we're talking Corey Sandhagen, we're talking Sean O'Malley, Davison Figueiredo, Uriah Faber. The list just goes on. He can do this from orthodox as well, but just because of the lever and open stance, he does find himself using this in southpaw a lot more. He also has an extremely strong leg kick. From both stances, he uses this. He uses it in moments against Uriah Faber and against Sean O'Malley and Corey Sandhagen, often from southpaw, just because he seems to be a stronger kicker from that stance. But if he wanted to, he could really commit to the leg kicks a lot more because he is actually quite proficient and he's very technically good with it. He also has a really underrated side kick and oblique kick game, often using them to just get his opponents away or just keep them at range, just tapping almost like Thai style, just ever so lightly, just keeping them at a distance and disrupting their momentum. Then there's his head kicks, right? Against Uriah Faber, we saw Yan use a lot of head kicks, both right and left, and in the finishing sequence, getting in the clinch, pulling Faber's hand and head down to eventually, when he lets go, spring it back up and kick him in the head, right? Or against Sandhagen, when Sandhagen was just trying to move along against the fence laterally, Yan would just time it and kick him in the head. And against Davison Figueiredo, Yan started using step-up right kicks, both to the body and to the head, just to keep Figueiredo's hands pinned and also just to hit him from, further away. But kicking is genuinely a very, very good skill of Petr Yan, and you've seen him lean into it in the majority of his fight against Figueiredo. Dynamic attacks. For someone so technically sound as Petr Yan, he has a wide variety of more flashy attacks, right? You have his step-in side kicks and his step-up right kicks. You have, his elbows, which I know they're not necessarily dynamic, but in MMA you don't see them used a lot. He also has spinning elbows from the clinch that he's used a few times. He's got spinning back fist where it turns into a tornado. He even has flying knees used in moments, jumping front kicks. He's very resourceful with them. He doesn't use them too much, but he uses them when the moment's right. And I think that really adds a good bit of unexpectedness to his game. You're getting outclassed by him, out-techniqued by him, and then he just starts whipping out more stylish techniques to just, put on a show. To be an elite level MMA fighter, you have to have excellent striking and excellent grappling. So let's take a look at Petr Yan's grappling. We're going to look at his takedowns, his trips, his ground and pound, and his takedown defense. Let's start with the takedowns. Takedowns. Yan doesn't shoot very many traditional takedowns, but the one he does shoot quite often is he'll be in orthodox and he'll switch stances into southpaw while lowering his level, sort of using his right knee to help scoop up the opponent's legs and just take their feet out from right under them. He does this against Douglas Silva de Andrade and Song Yadong, and it works pretty effectively. Or against O'Malley, he'd double up on punches, get against the fence, get the hands behind the butt, and simply because Yan is very, very strong, lift and slam, get in good position. Or, after rocking O'Malley, just simply gets the body lock around the back and drags him to the floor. Against Song Yadong, he was working a takedown against the fence. Yadong tries to, grab an underhook really, really low, and Yan, again, just drags him down to the mat. Very small, traditional takedown arsenal, but very effective with it. Trips. This is really the best part to watch from Yan's grappling. He's really, because of his defensive style and he checks and he stays in place, he really likes catching kicks and either just lifting the leg and kicking it out, or you see it a lot against Aljamain. He will do this consistently because Aljamain just constantly pokes out front kicks and side kicks with pretty much no power, so Yan's able to just start catching them and tripping them out and dunking them. Or against Aldo, when he had Aldo gassed and hurt, Aldo starts trying to push kick away really slowly, and Yan just catches it and trips him out. Against Uriah Faber, he used, I call it the scissor sweep takedown. We'll get around to the back. He'll switch his feet and use one of his legs to act as a barrier and just to pull Faber, in this case, over his leg and get in a good position. But probably the most impressive is his Osotogari, or major outer reap. Bisping went on about that in his fight against Deiveson Figueiredo, where it's just he'll step and use his lead leg to hook the opponent's lead leg, and he'll use his lead hand to essentially grab the opponent's face or neck, or just grab a hold of them and dunk them. He does this against O'Malley, he does this against Aljamain, and he does this against Deiveson Figueiredo. It's really, really quite impressive, and it's one thing that I'd really take note from his grappling. Ground and pound. Yan has absolutely vicious ground and pound. And one of the things I really like about it is he can do it in multiple ranges. O'Malley can as well, and it's really, really quite impressive, right? He can punch from long or stack against the feet or control the feet, or rain down punches from high up, or he can get in close and just shovel in elbows and short punches relentlessly to, just cut open the opponent like D'Andrade and Song Yudong. And against Uriah Faber, after rocking him, just relentless, just shoveling punches, never letting them rest. And against Jose Aldo, probably the most impressive thing was attacking the body on the ground, right? You cannot move your body while on the ground. You really can't. It takes quite a lot of energy to, and there's nothing blocking your body from going back, so it really digs in. And he hurts Aldo with this at the end of the first round, and he nearly finishes him. And he goes back to it even in the fourth round, I believe, and it's just insanely impressive. Just really his relentlessness and his ability to just ground and pound at any range, at any frequency, is just really quite excellent. Grappling defense. A very, very excellent skill of Petr Yan. He's really, really good at defending grappling exchanges and takedowns, right? Against Douglas Da Silva de Andrade, faked a takedown, Yan just moves his hips away. Or when Andrade was on the ground and he goes for a heel hook, Yan just remains calm, slowly works his way out. And that's the thing with Yan. He doesn't rush the grappling exchanges. He does the right things at the right speed at the right time. He doesn't rush anything, and everything he does is fairly textbook. He'll use overhooks or whizzes, as they're called in wrestling, and frames on the head, pushes on the head, scoots to the fence, maintains a strong base. He just does everything pretty correct, and it's just very textbook. Again, takedown defense is not a complex thing. It just needs to be drilled over and over and over and over again. And Yan has done that to the nth degree, even defending the majority of Merab's takedowns, which is, pretty impressive considering Merab shot 50 takedowns. So Yan's grappling defense, while simple, is, very, very high level. Flaws. Despite me regularly discussing the idea of Petr Yan being the perfect MMA fighter, in reality, there is no such thing as the perfect MMA fighter. Because MMA contains so many different sports, everyone is bound to have flaws. Georges St-Pierre did not have the best chin, right? And Johnny Hendricks was able to defend his takedowns. John Jones uses steroids. Anderson Silva relied too much on his head movement and his reaction time, right? Every skilled fighter has weaknesses, and Petr Yan is no exception to that. Yan is patient. He will remain defensive if you put volume on him, and it's caused him to have a lot of difficulty reading opponents. Like against Sandhagen and against Aljamain, he did struggle with the volume. Against Jose Aldo, who was just such a hard and fast striker, and the leg kicks were giving him problems. Against Aljamain Sterling, Aljo was able to, while Yan defended most of the takedowns, when Aljo got one, he kept Yan there because Yan simply does not rush the grappling exchanges. And because of Yan's high guard and willingness to stay in the fire to land his shots, he can be hit and he can be rocked. Don't get me wrong, he hasn't been wobbled, but he is by no means invincible. But aside from those very few weaknesses, Yan is an incredibly skilled fighter who's been somewhat unlucky in his previous fights, but he is on a good run of form as of late, and he is on track to either rematch Sean O'Malley or Merab Dvalishvili for the bantamweight title. And while I do favour him to beat O'Malley in a 5-round fight, Merab is a different story. However, I have pinned Yan as the person with the greatest chance to beat Merab. However, I don't think he wins that. But regardless, I'm very excited to see Petr Yan's next fight. So anyway, guys, that was the breakdown. Hope you guys enjoyed, and see ya.